Hello, welcome to Aussie Yarning. This is episode 30 and today is Sunday, March 30. Nearly the end of March and entering into April. This year is disappearing fast. So, first of all, week in review, or 2 weeks in review. It's interesting because by not recording weekly, how much work I've gotten done. But the downside of that is it could take me a lot longer to tell you everything, but I'll try and keep it below an hour. I know most of you like to have less than an hour's podcast, and it makes it so much easier to upload if it's less than an hour. So, week in review, fortnight in review. I have been progressing well in terms of the thyroid problem. I can feel that every day I'm getting just that little bit stronger and all of the symptoms are becoming that little bit less all the time. But just after I last recorded, I then got quite a severe chest infection. Now, I have not been sick with colds or flu for many, many years. I take a tablet that has all of those stuff in it that builds up your immune system to fight against colds. And even when I've had a sense of a cold coming on, if I take a couple of extra of those tablets, the cold just goes. So I have not suffered with any form of cold or flu for a long, long time. So I can only put this down to the fact that with the thyroid problem, my immune system is very low and I was open to whatever. So I developed a chest infection that was awful. It wasn't really a cold. I didn't really have a sore throat, although that's developed in the last couple of days. Excuse me. I just felt like I had a brick of phlegm sitting in my chest and I couldn't shift it come what may. So as time's gone on, I have managed to beat that. I'm nearly better. So, that's my health progress. I'd like to really say thank you to everyone who has sent such wonderful messages and encouragement after my last podcast and talking about my health. I don't like talking about my health. I like to pretend that I'm really good and everything's okay. So it was a bit difficult to talk about that and a bit embarrassing. But people do that, and I'm sure if you're watching my podcast, I presume you care a little bit about what happens to me. So, and that was proven with a lot of the messages that I received after my last podcast. So many people encouraging me or telling me that they had that condition and now they're doing really well, which was good, or just encouraging me in whatever I did. So I really appreciate all those private messages and emails and messages in the Ravelry group. That was lovely. Thank you. I just feel loved. That's so nice. I think that is all I need to tell you in regard to that. Now, I do warn you, polygamy has taken hold. But I think in a good way, because I've really got a lot of FOs to show you. So polygamy in a good way because I've gathered all of those things that I hadn't finished. No, I've gathered some of those things that I hadn't finished, and I finished them, plus a couple of new ones. So let me just go into a little bit of information of other things first, and then I'll get into my knitting and crocheting. The Hexie blanket. I had been advised by quite a number of people that it was no good dyeing it because it wouldn't work. It was a combination of wool and acrylic, so that neither of the dyes for either of those things would work together. But I was talking with Fiona again from a Down Under Yarn, who is also Solar Flare Fibres, and so she knows a lot about dyeing, and she assured me that it was worth a try to mix the dye into the blanket and to see if there was any better result. So I'm prepared to do that. I really trust what Fiona says and her experience. And if it doesn't work, it was a good experience. So I'm in the process of ordering the dye. And Hopefully by the next time I record, I will have had that experience of dyeing and be able to show you either the marvellously improved result or that it's not much different. And yeah, so that's something to look forward to. Now the sock yarn blanket pattern, I had said that I would get that up on Ravelry I said I was going to do it a week after, within the week of doing my last podcast, but I didn't. And I can only blame the fact that I've had this chest infection and I just didn't feel like doing anything. So that is in the process of going up. One of the things that has hindered me is that I have one way of dealing with both ends as you're knitting, so that you've got an easy way of picking up when you come to pick up from the next block. But Anuska has another way of doing it, and neither are right or wrong. They're all a matter of what you like. If you like that sort of thing, if you like it one way, fine. If you like it the other way, fine. I just felt that it was probably a good idea to incorporate both of those options in the pattern, excuse me, so that you could choose for yourself. I might explain a little bit more about it when I actually show you my blanket, because I've tried Anuska's way of doing it, and while I can see her point and I can see that it does have a really lovely finish on the back, it isn't quite what I personally like. So you will have the choice of both. And so that's one of the reasons the pattern hasn't gone up yet, because I've yet got to incorporate Anuska's style of doing it as well, so that you've got both. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now the Yazzie giveaway, you've got a little bit longer to try, because I'm going to draw this in the first podcast in April. So again, I'm not sure if the podcast is going to be in a week's time or a fortnight. I really enjoyed this fortnight and the progress that I made in all of my work. So I felt like I really had things to show you. But I missed recording too. So I'm not sure. I'm going to play it by ear. If I feel like I want to record on a Sunday, I will. If I feel like waiting for the following Sunday, I'll do that. So that's the way it is. But this will be drawn in the first podcast in April, whenever that is. And this is a knitting bag from Yazzie. And very big bag inside with a lovely pocket, zippered pocket inside as well. Really nice for carrying your knitting projects or just having it by the side of your chair. So in order to win this, you need to go to first of all, go to the Yazzie website and click the Facebook like icon, which will take you to your Facebook, and it will produce that advertising on your Facebook page so that everybody who reads your Facebook can read about Yazzie. Hopefully she'll get a few more customers from that. Then come back to the Ravelry page and my Ravelry page, and there's a thread for the Yazzie competition. So just click in there and say that yes, you've liked the Facebook page and that you would like to win it. And someone's going to win that next month. I know a few people have commented that they really, really want to win it. So hopefully if you don't win it, you might just go and buy one from Yazzie. All right, now for my Evos. I think I'll show you the cutest first. Last Guild Day, Knitters Guild Day, I was teaching a very basic lesson on amigurumi. And unfortunately, when I taught the lesson before and I had a finished product to show what they were working on would look like, I had left it at Wallumbye. So I didn't have a finished product. So the girls had said to me, can you please make another one so that we can see if what we're making turns out like what you were making? So I thought, yes, so I started to make it. As I was just about to finish off the ball that it was, my granddaughter looked at it and said, oh no, you've got to do something different to that. So she drew a design, and of course I finished it the way she asked me to. So this is the end result of my crocheting. So it was supposed to finish here. It was supposed to be just a round ball, and then there were going to be two big goggly eyes on here with a little mouth, and the pattern I was giving out, excuse me, also had a little skirt around it if you wanted it to be a girl. Could have been a boy with a skirt, I suppose. Okay, so this was her vision, and when she gets a creative vision, I don't argue with it, I just do it. So that's what she decided. So he's just, I have no idea what he is, except an alien. And I'm presuming he's a he. I have no idea why. Do we presume all things are he's unless we know for sure? I don't know. Anyway, so that's my most recent creation of amigurumi. When I was going through my bag that holds all the yarn that I make my amigurumi out, and I should say what I normally use is Biggin yarn. Biggin has, first of all, it's a pure Australian yarn, merino. I think it's pure merino, I can't remember. Biggin is from Europe, I'm not sure what country, but she's come to Australia and she has developed a beautiful wool line of yarns. I think, I only use the 8-ply, but I think that, I don't know if there's a lighter yarn or a heavier yarn, I'm not sure what her other ones are. But the beauty of her yarn is that it has a wide range of colours, really strong, bright colours. So it's so easy to choose any number of colours to make your creations. The yarn is beautiful to work with. It's lovely and soft, not cheap. So if you were going to make items like this for kids, and particularly if you wanted them washable, then obviously you're better off to go to your acrylics. But for me, working on making the designs that I'm working on, I prefer to work with this yarn. It's easy to work with in my hands. It crochets really nicely. And as I say, the colours are brilliant. So that's mainly what I work with. I do use a 4mm crochet hook. Stacey Trock often recommends that you go one lower than what the yarn recommends, because when you stuff it, you don't want the stuffing to show through. But you can see, even though I've used a 4mm on 8-ply, which is DK, you can't see the stuffing in there. There's no way that stuffing's going to come out, so I'm fine with that. And if I had to go a smaller crochet hook, I wouldn't enjoy it because it's so tight on my hands, it just wouldn't be worth worrying about. So, while I was looking in my bag of yarns to get the colours for that, I discovered that I had half finished a little chicken. Now, the original chicken was supposed to be one of those that you turn inside out. I think I've got one up there. You turn it in. Oh, I'll get it for you and show you. For some of you who haven't seen this before, it's a inside out toy. So there's the egg. Whoa, we've got a hatching. There's the egg, and then you turn it inside out, and there's your chicken, which is a lovely idea coming up to Easter, that you might like to make this for your kids or for whoever else. I've been making a few of these to send up to the hospital for children who are in hospital and need some comfort, and I've made a few of those for the hospital. So that's how this one was supposed to be. But what I'd done is used a different yarn. I think there was a sale table at Knitters Guild, and there was a lot of this yarn going cheap, and I wanted yellow, so I bought it all. And then I realised I didn't have any white to then make the shell in this thickness. It's still DK, but it's a lot lighter than normal. So I thought instead of making it into a reversible egg, I would just make him into a chicken. So he's finished, and he'll maybe go up to the hospital, maybe he'll sit up on my shelves, I'm not sure. So they were two things well, it didn't take long to finish that. All I had to do was crochet his bum. So that was easy. Now, another finished object is a Martina Bem hitchhiker shawl. Very long. Whoa. So you can see it's very, 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 very long. This is made out of Ella Ray. Don't have the label to tell you what colour, but of course it's hand dyed, so colour really doesn't make much difference, does it? Because it could change, we know. This had been my purse knitting. I kept it in the car, and it was like if I got stuck in traffic jam or somewhere that I hadn't thought to bring my knitting, this was in the car for me to just grab and to knit on. And I had nearly finished it. And when I had to go for my ultrasound the other day, I thought, fine, I'll take that in, because they give you an injection and then you have to sit and wait 20 minutes before they can do the ultrasound. So I thought, well, I'll take this in and I'll knit it. But as I pulled it out of the bag, it was so big, I thought, this is not a purse knitting object anymore. It is not worth taking anywhere and dragging the whole thing out. So I thought, no, I'll bring it home, I'll finish it off, and yet another finished object. And it's going to be just so beautiful for winter. I love that colour. That is gorgeous. I've got so many hitchhikers now. I'll have a different one on every day, which is good. Now, another thing that I've finished, and this really shocked me because I thought I'd never get this finished, but remember I showed you the little cardigan that I had started, and I realised that what stumped me was that it was moss stitch in the sleeves, and I couldn't bear the thought of knitting any more moss stitch on the sleeves. So I undid the sleeve that was half done, and I did it in stocking stitch. So I have now finished the little jacket. I did a boo-boo. I didn't put buttonholes in. Or if I did, I mean, there are spots here that look like it could have been, I mean, you can't even see. Yeah, you can just see there. There's a hole that's slightly bigger than the rest. I think that was a buttonhole. But there's only 3 of that. There's one there, and one there, and none up there. So, I either just have 3 buttons and find very tiny ones to fit in there, or I thought I might just put press studs on the inside and then just sew a button on the outside just for show. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but that's the finished cardigan. That's the back. I'm really pleased with it. I love Aran. I love Aran work and just love this pattern. So when I get some of my other things finished, I might do some more Aran work. Some of you will be remembering the Aran blanket that I've still got sitting in hiding, that I've done probably half of one panel and half of another panel. So I might get that out and finish it now that I've really fallen in love with Aran again. So the final, what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th thing I finished. You remember I showed you the Dream Bird shawl that I had started, and I'd run out of skein yarn, and when I'd ordered the next skein of skein, it wasn't the same colour, and I was really disappointed and I didn't know what to do about it. And so someone had contacted me. I'm just trying to decide whether to say her name or not, and I'm sure that she won't mind if I say her name. I think it's Kansas at Heart is her Ravelry name. So she contacted me and she suggested that I knit as much as I could of the colour that I loved and then put it up on my wall, the way I've got the hitchhiker up here. Now, interestingly, I had thought the same thing the night before I read her message, so that really pleased me. And so I did. I finished my dream bird. I got 5 leaves, feathers, whatever you want to call them. I just as I was finishing the very last row up here, I ran out around about there. I think I ran out around about there. Is that the right one? Maybe that's the beginning. No, it is that one. So I was able to use the new yarn that I had purchased that wasn't quite the same colour, and I finished it. So from there down to there, I used the new yarn. So I love that. I'm still looking for colours like this. And in fact, I was watching Dramatic Knits this morning, and Steve was showing one of his creations that was very similar to these colours. It was really bright and strong and really lovely. So I'm thinking I might buy that. I don't know. I've still got another one of these to finish, the one that was in the greenier colours. Now, it's interesting with that one as well. Some people had contacted me back and said, no, it hasn't got enough zing in it. Don't keep going with that. Undo it. But Australians had contacted me and said, oh, it so reminds us of our gum trees and our eucalyptus trees. So please finish it because it will just be so beautiful. And I had thought that too. So I am going to work on it. The fact that I've now finished this, I'm not continuing to make more of this, will give me the ability to finish the other one. So in the coming weeks I will work on that. I'm not going to rush to have it finished, but I will try and do maybe a leaf, feather, whatever you want to call it, per week. So that, it might take me till the end of the year to finish it, but at least it'll be progressing. So that is all of my finished objects. Can you believe that I have finished so many objects? I've really been working hard. Because being sick, I've been staying at home, I've been resting and pampering myself. So, of course, I was able to do lots more knitting. So, what's still on my needles? All right, we'll go to the sock yarn blanket first. Now, as imagined, because I'm doing so many other things, this is not getting as much attention as it had been getting. Like, I can't remember now, how many did I say I made in a fortnight? Oh, a huge, I've got a feeling I said 46. I might be wrong. And as I've said, don't believe anything I say, I'm often wrong. But I've got a feeling I'd done 46 blocks, squares, in that time frame between my previous podcast. Well, I definitely haven't done that this time. In fact, there's nothing on that side that's new. It's all on this side, so anything with a stitch marker or above are new yarns, new blocks that I've put in. So all of these are new. All of these are new, well, not new, done since you last saw it. So I've still done a few, just not as many as I had before. Now also I had received some gorgeous yarns from Melissa in Perth, had sent me 4 of her yarns. So I said that I'd show her where I knitted them in, and hold on while I find them. Okay, so I think they are this one, this one, this one, and this one. And I think I've got enough more of this one to maybe do yet another one. So there you are. Is it Melissa? No, Melinda. Sorry, Melinda. It's Melinda from Perth. Yarnder Woman is her Ravelry name. So, Melinda, there are your beautiful yarns incorporated in the blanket. She was pleased that they would be shown on the podcast, so thank you very much. I'm still using Sue. Sue had sent me a large number, and like a lot more yarn in each ball to work with, so I'm slowly but surely working through those. The one that I loved the most of Sue's, and she said she loved it too, was this one. That one, and there's one other I think we both loved the most, but I can't think now where that one was. So, that's the blanket. It's getting huge. It is getting very big. So I'm pleased that winter is starting to come, because I don't know otherwise how I would work. I put it up on the table and then just have the bit I'm working on in front of me, but if I'm working in the middle, it's hard to get both ends up on the table, so sometimes it gets really hot. Talking about winter, we're definitely getting cooler here. It's still hot in this room. I've got the fan blowing on me, but it is definitely getting cooler. We're being mostly under 30 degrees centigrade most days. We've had a lot of rain over the last week, so quite humid, but I'm so pleased that the temperature is getting cooler. I'll be whinging when winter comes, but yeah. Hold on, I have got a phone call. We're trying to sell one of my husband's cars, which is a Nissan ZX300, and that was a phone call asking about it, but I don't think it'll come to anything. Okay, where was I? I've just finished the sock blanket. Okay, I said earlier that I was going to show you the difference between the way I do the picking up of the stitches to start another block and the way Anuska does it, and then I forgot all about how to show you. I forgot all about showing you. So I'm just doing this little snippet now. I'll stick it somewhere within my podcast to just give you an example. So this little block here is a good example of what it is about. So if you notice down here, this is my way of picking up the stitches and starting the next block. I do that by slipping the first stitch knitwise every row. So I don't do anything on the other end, I just slip the first stitch knitwise. And that gives me, if you can notice here, these little lumps. So that when I'm picking up, all I've got to do is slip my needle into each of those lumps and I get the exact number of stitches I need to start the next one. But as a result, you get, where are we again? You get this look of where you've joined this colour to this colour. Now, Anuska's way of doing it, and this is the finished product of it here, is that, I won't go into the detail of how she does it, but what it means is that there is, on both ends of her block, is this like chain. So that as she picks up in the centre of each of those chains, you get that chain look at the end. Now, what she likes about that is that you don't get this join that shows it's obviously on the back. You actually get this pattern of a chain going up, which is lovely. It still, as you can see on this one, it still doesn't hide the join of the colour together, but it does give a nice finish in general. But I personally don't mind this look. Don't know, just I happen to like that. So when Anuska does her blocks, this is the way she'll do hers. When I do my blocks, this is the way I'll do mine. And when I put out the pattern, it'll give you a choice of either way. You can try them both. I mean, you can see I've tried it on this, and I don't care that one block has been joined different to the rest. It doesn't bother me. So that was just my little extra for what I promised to show you. My grandson, Michael, and you can see it just here. This is the quilt so far, and I'm making one more strip. Well, I'm hoping I'm making just one more strip. I really would like it to have been quite a large blanket for him to really snuggle up and wrap him around himself when he was watching TV. But I really am quite fed up with this, so not sure. But anyway, this is what I've done in the last fortnight. I had only just cast on when I recorded last time, so I hadn't shown it to you. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm on the 8th square, and there's 10 squares. So I've only got to finish these 2 more squares, and hopefully it's finished. I do have to do something around the edge. I'll probably crochet it around the edge, but it's looking good. So I find boring knitting like that, you know, when you just knit, and it just goes on and on and on. If I watch a movie or some shows that I really enjoy watching, I seem to be able to do it and not get bored or not think, oh, I can't do this anymore. It just sort of knits up as I'm watching. So I found that to be quite good this week, this fortnight. I keep forgetting that it's a fortnight. And I keep forgetting that some people don't know what a fortnight is. A fortnight is 2 weeks. I don't know if it's an Australian term or an English term, but I do know when I've commented on the word in the past, people have said, what's a fortnight? So I'm not sure what country that comes from. All right, so that was Michael's quilt. Then the babe, well, it's not actually a baby's jumper. This was going to be for my sister's grandson, so I can never remember what, I think that makes him my great nephew, I think. So I haven't progressed very far. I think when I spoke to you last, I was about here, maybe here. So as you can see, I haven't done very much. It is a slow pattern. It really doesn't bring me unstuck, so there's no burning desire to work on it. I do love the yarn, and the yarn is Cleckheaton Country Naturals 8 ply, and it's the one with the flecks in it. So you can see all the lovely flecks of colour, which my friend Becca hates. She was knitting one of my hexies in a similar yarn with flecks, and she kept wanting to pull the flecks out. So, Becca, this is not a coloured or a yarn that you want to work with. But you can see how it just brings a lovely life to the yarn. So, anyway, progressing on it. It's not my go-to, you know, when I think, oh, what do I work on now? It's not the first thing that comes to my mind. But I do a little bit on it, and I will get it finished eventually. So then I started another baby's jacket. So let me just explain this one to you. Okay, first of all, I'll show you the book. This is a book that I bought in Melbourne when I was down there last year with my sister. So it's Sock Yarn One Skein Wonders. There's 101 patterns in here. Now that's lovely to think that you can buy a book with 101 patterns. The downside is that everything's so squashed that you really only get often one picture of anything that you're making. So the thing that I wanted to make was this. I'm not sure. The glare. Nah, come on, glare, get away. I think you're able to see that. Bring it a bit closer. I just love that. When I look at that, I think I've just got to make it. So when I was looking around at patterns the other day, I saw this again and thought, no, I've just definitely got to make that. But that's the only picture they've got in the book, so it didn't show me what the back was like. As you can see, it's mitered squares in the front, and the sleeves are stockinette. And I presumed that the back was either mitered squares or stockinette. But no, the back was in moss stitch. So I nearly decided again, look, I'm not doing moss stitch, I'll just do it in stockinette. And then I realised that it really is a pattern of textures. Apart from the changing in colour, you've got your textures of your mitered squares. And in the mitered squares, if you can notice, they've often put, say, what am I trying to say? A knitted row. Garter stitch is the word I'm trying to think of. They've often put some garter stitches in the midst of the stockinette, which again gives yet another texture. So when I thought about it, I thought, yeah, I really would like to complete this with all the textures that are involved. So the first hurdle, and why I haven't knitted it so far, is to find the yarn. And the yarn is Online Super Sock 100 Summer Colour. So I searched it out. I don't suppose I can show you too much of that, but that's not giving away too much. Yeah. I'd never heard of this yarn before. Excuse me. And obviously this is out of stock, out of production. I was going to say out of print. No, it's not out of print. Out of production. There is no longer this particular colour. And I just love that colour. I thought that colour combination was exquisite. I can't understand why they wouldn't keep producing it. It's just beautiful. So I went searching, and I finally found one that was, well, certainly the same brand. So it's, I don't know what went wrong there, but it looked like my camera had stopped recording, so I had to stop and start again. So I said I had found one ball of yarn online, and it's called online Super Sock 100 in the Savannah colour. It's 100 grams, it's super wash, it's 75%, 75% superwash, 25% polyamide, which is a typical sock yarn. There's an example, I don't know if you can see that, of the different yarns and how they come out. So I nearly didn't buy it. I didn't particularly like the colour, but I thought, well, it was the cheapest one I could find. There was only about 3 or 4 available for sale, and this was the cheapest. And I thought, oh, well, what the heck. I want to make the jacket, so I'll buy it and be done with it. I wasn't happy with the colour. When it arrived, I mean, it's a lovely colour. It's all right. But it wasn't what I was hoping for, and it's not soft. I had really felt by looking at the picture that it was a lovely, soft, cuddly finished product, and this is not soft and cuddly. It's all right. It sort of puts me in mind of Regia yarn. It works, but it's not soft and snuggly. Maybe when it washes up, it will be better. I don't know. So, first of all, I did the 2 fronts. So, they're probably upside down, I think. That one's upside down, and that one's upside down. Not that it matters. So there are the 2 fronts. They've yet to get their front band on. And I'm quite pleased with them. Yeah, I mean, the blending of colours is all right. But as I say, I don't like the colours, so that's why I don't like the blending that much. But it's there. So I've almost finished the back of Moss Stitch, would you believe? I worked on this all day yesterday while watching some nice movies, so it kept me occupied. And I was surprised how quickly it came up. So that's in Moss Stitch, and that gives you a better idea of the colour combination. I've got, in this new section here, I've got to come up to the end here. That's how high I've got to make it. So I don't have that much more to do. And then the sleeves are done in stockinette. So they shouldn't take too long, and they're made by, you join the front and the back at the shoulder seam, and then you pick up the stitches around here, and then you knit the sleeve on both sides. I haven't done that before with jackets, so it'll be an interesting experience. So I am enjoying doing it, even though I don't like the colour. And I got thinking the other day, actually last night, about opal yarn again. And I know Fiona said that Pearlwise in Kendall had some new opal yarn in, so I went and had a look last night, and I'm looking at it thinking, oh yeah, that would make a really lovely jacket. And I entered several things into my cart, and then thought, I really don't need to buy more yarn at the moment. I really want to finish the things that I have got on the needles rather than buying more yarn and being distracted by making yet another one of these, because when the yarn arrived, I would want to cast it on. So I was very strong, and I closed the website, and I went back in again to see if it held the items that I'd put in my cart, and it did. So if I get tempted again in the next few days, I can still go back and finish the order off. That's a bit of a trick, isn't it? Having what you put in your cart still there. Unless, of course, it sells out and then it won't be there. Okay, so that was my biggest temptation, making that. I could easily have not done it and gotten on with a lot of other things, but just had to. I don't know whether it's worth doing a further book review on this book, and I haven't looked at it recently for me to give you some great insights. There's a lot in here that I wouldn't make. So to buy a book of this size, and it was nearly $40, it's a lot of money to spend on a book that you're only going to make a few things out of it. But typical of me, when I see a pattern I like in it, I've got to have the book. I mean, there's things like this. Really cute lampstand. Not sure how that goes with a hot globe, but anyway, they seem to think it's okay. There's lots and lots of pages at the back of how to do things, how to read your patterns, people that have put the patterns in and things about them. They've even got lace antique curtains. At the front, I think this would probably be a lot more appropriate for colder countries, so particularly the US with all the freezing weather they have, and everyone wears hats because there's lots and lots of hats at the beginning of like this first section here. So all of that is hats and scarves and socks. Then we come into, hang on, oh okay, no, hats and socks. Then we come into wraps, and there's that many pages on wraps. Don't know if there's anything amazing to show you. I mean, they're all very pretty wraps. Nothing amazingly different to a lot of what you see elsewhere. Certainly nothing that made me think, oh, I've got to make that. So no, nothing there worthwhile to show you. Oh, well, you might like that one. That's a very pretty. But again, it's totally dependent on the yarn. That yarn is, oh, that's Korean, Noro Korean. So yeah, that's a easily obtainable yarn. Then we've got this many pages of children's knits. There is another pattern in here that I wanted to make. That's that one that I am making. This one I think is gorgeous. Really simple little pattern, but just makes it a really nice cardigan. So I think I'll be making that one. And this other one, I vaguely remember that I had actually started making this, but I can't find it anywhere. So either I pulled it apart or I finished it and got rid of it. I don't know. Can't remember. But that's really lovely. It's just strips of knitting in sock yarn, joining the next one, and I think the back is the same. Not sure. Oh, what was after that? After baby knits was bags. So there's a whole section there on, well, that's a tea cozy. So what do they call it? Bag it and more. So there's that whole section on bag it and more, and then you go into the back section with all of the instructions. So that's that book. That was a quick book review that I didn't intend doing. And then the final thing that I want to talk about, and I cannot for the life of me find the latest shade card, but from Bendigo, this one, as you can see, I've just grabbed this to give you an idea, but this one's 2004. Bendigo, I think once a year, they bring out a card with yarns that are available from them and all the colours that you can choose from. The most recent one, I received it the other day. It was full. It had an extra page of yarns and just beautiful yarns. So I was thinking about the fact that most people from overseas have not used Bendigo yarn. I remember I sent some to Anuska because she said, you all keep talking about it, but I don't know what it's about or what it's like. So if you've watched Anuska's podcast, which is Swee Dutch Handcrafts, and I think you can just Google Swee Dutch and you'll find her webpage with her podcast on it. She's just recently done the log cabin blanket and with the yarns that I sent her, and she loved it. She just loved the yarns. So a lot of people don't know anything about Bendigo yarn or what it's like, and really it is beautiful yarn. I liken it very much to Cascade 220. Mind you, I haven't used Cascade 220 yet, But when I saw it up at Pearlwise and I asked Mark about it, and I said, how does that compare with Bendigo? He said they're very similar. And again, they come in a wide range of colours. This particular one doesn't even have the yarn that I made my blanket out of. Sure it doesn't, no, because I did mine out of luxury. So, back to the story. I contacted Bendigo and I said, is it possible for people to contact you from overseas and ask for a shade card? Or could I get a lot of shade cards and post them out to people who ask for them from my podcast? And they emailed back and said, we're more than happy to post them out to anybody who wants one. So I encourage you to Google them rather than me give you their email address. I mean, the email address is very easy. It's bendigowoolenmills.com.au, I think. I don't think they had websites when this card came out. Goodness me, I should throw it away and just keep the new one. I've searched everywhere for the new one. I can't find it anywhere. And I had it here specially to show you for this episode. So anyway, Google Bendigo Woolen Mills and go into the Contact Us section and ask them, could you please have a shade card, and give them your address and they'll post one out to you. I'm sure they'd be thrilled to find customers all over the world. And I'd really like it if a lot of my friends were able to enjoy this yarn, because I love it. I use it quite a bit. All right, that's it. That's all I've got to say. I have no idea how long this is because I've stopped this recording 3 times. So I've got 3 segments that I've got to put together and then get them all up. That was one thought I had. I wasn't going to say anything about it yet, but I might as well while it's in my mind. When I started my podcast, I went with WordPress and I joined the section that allowed me to upload as many videos as I wanted to, unlimited, and all of that sort of thing. It was very expensive. At the time, I didn't care. I was really excited about starting my podcast, and cost really, I'm like that. Cost didn't come into it. But now cost does come into it, and I will be, that sign up will be finished in August. So I had to decide, am I going to continue and get WordPress again for another 12 months or not? And I think I've decided not. It's a lot of money. $350 for the year, you know, that's a lot of money. So I've decided that when my contract submission, whatever, runs out, I'm not going to continue to produce through WordPress, which means it's not going to continue through iTunes. I'm only going to upload to YouTube. And if you subscribe to me through YouTube, you still get a notification by email when I put up my next episode. You just don't get it up in the iTunes. And I watch lots of podcasts that aren't in iTunes that just come through the YouTube. So sorry about that. Unless I have a windfall between now and then, my husband keeps telling me every week he's going to win lotto. So if he wins lotto, I'll go in for another year's subscription of WordPress, but otherwise I'll be going to YouTube. So I'm sorry for those of you that that's going to disrupt. I hope I don't lose you and you don't come back to YouTube, but that's as it is. So that's all I've got to say for this episode. And until next time, remember, she'll be right, mate. Bye.